take a look at a couple of other tools in our menu here which utilize the curves. So here we have our surface swept tool. So I'm going to click on this tool here, and in the options it's looking for a guide curve and a profile curve. So let's create those for it. I'll start off and I'll snap to this view, make sure my curves are selected here, and I will create a curve and hit escape. And I'm going to move my cursor around to the Z-axis here and create another curve. And this time I will try and create a rectangle. So now I'm going to move over to this tool at the end here, this pointer cursor. And with this, I'm going to just left click onto this and move it in roughly into a position. Now this isn't the same as this tool here, the move tool. Only with the move tool I get the gizmo to work with, which is very handy at times, whereas if I want to do a very quick move here, hit the Q menu, just use this arrow cursor here, left click on the curve itself, and I can quickly move that around. So let's just position it roughly where I want it here, and I have my setup ready to go. So I have a curve and a rectangle in the curves tree. So the curve will be my guide and the profile will be this rectangle, and immediately the profile and extrude it along that curve. So what I will do now is we've got our normal options here where we can increase the resolution, and I'll just increase that to 5 like so. What I will do here is choose this option here called use scale graph, and then I'll click on this little icon here, bring down this dialog box. This here represents the curve scale. To explain this a little bit further, if I click in the center here and I move this up, you can see that the scale increases as I increase this value in this graph here. And similarly, if I go to the end point here, you can see that the end point now is shrinking down. So this is a good way for us to just deform our surface that we've created using those initial guides. So I'm going to say OK to that. Now I can add extra points in here. You saw me increasing the number of spans in this. If I double click, I can create extra spans in here, and you'll notice when I'm just rolling over the end of this line here, you must make sure that you have the correct brush selected. Now I can move this independently. If I had an area that was quite detailed around here, maybe I need a little bit more resolution so we can see the influence of those changes. So once I'm ready to create my mesh, I'll simply hit apply mesh. There are a couple of other things that I can do on here beforehand. If I need to twist this extrusion here, I can do so by checking this option here and changing that twist angle. You do need to make sure that you've got enough spans in here to do that. Oops. And then you can see that we've got that twisting effect in there as well. So let me reset that back to 0 and reduce the number of spans that I've got in there. And I'm just going to say apply mesh. Let's hide the curves. And we can see we've got our extra geometry detail in there, which we added manually, the base there to start our modeling process. So with the same two curves that we created previously, I'm going to choose the surface swept tool again, and it will take us back. This time it already recognizes the curves in the curve tree and automatically previews the mesh for us. But this time I'm going to use this option at the bottom here called use graph profile. Now if you remember, our profile on the previous version was the rectangle, and if I choose use graph profile, you'll see that it actually ignores the rectangular profile that I assigned here, and instead it uses some default profiles which it has under this drop down menu here. We have line, ellipse, etc. all the way down. So this could be useful if you have a particular preset shape that you would like to use for this. Expand or decrease the width or the height of this, as well as the width. And again, I can change the number of spans in here. There are other options as well. For example, we've got this shape here, and again, we can scale and edit those profiles using these sliders here. This tool also comes with its own graph editor as well on here, where we can further edit that shape, that profile shape, using these nodes. So for example, if I wanted to change this from this nice sloping, this nice shallow curve here to something a little bit more angular, I'll right click on these nodes to sharpen them and create something different, like so. And then I can go ahead and change the values of this using these sliders. And once I'm happy, I simply click apply. In this case, the normals are pointing in the outwards direction. If I wanted to change this very quickly, I'll just hide these curves here. I will select the model, right click, and choose flip faces. Deselect. I can see those polygons now as the normals are pointing in the correct direction. The difference between the direction here, if I just remove the grid, these polygons down here are back faces. I can tell that because the wireframe does not appear. If I don't want to see the back faces at all, I'll go to View and say Back Face Culling, and now you can see whenever I'm looking directly at the normal, I can see the polygons clearly. If I move to the back face, we can no longer see the polygons because they've been culled. The next tool we'll look at is the Surface Patch tool, and with this selected, you can see in the tool options that we don't have any fields for our curves to populate. So in this case, what we need to do is we need to actually generate our curves first, select them in the curves tree, and then select the Surface Patch tool in order to patch the curves that we generate. So to do that, I'm going to create a cage. So to begin, I'll use my curves tool. I'll select a side view and make a start and create my first curve. If I need to edit that curve, which I do, select this tool. Now, I don't want to keep creating one curve at a time. I want to be a little bit more efficient in the way that I work. So I'm going to use the mirror tool now and start to actually work in symmetry, which you can do as with geometry with curves too. So I'm going to use the axis here just to help me. I'll use my Q menu and use this move tool, select that curve I've just generated and just move it over to this side. It doesn't have to be too accurate. And what I can do now is I can use using the x-axis, click on this icon here to mirror that over in the x-axis. And you can see here it's generated a symmetrical copy. Now if I was to continue to work on here, let's now select my manipulation tool here and start to move. You can see that now I'm working in symmetry. So now I can start to shape both of these, and I'm going to snap back into this view over here, and I'll start here and I'll create another curve, and you'll see it doesn't mirror over. When I've created a curve, it doesn't automatically mirror that curve as I generate it. It has to be generated first and then it can be mirrored over. So let me position where I want it to be first. So I will click on here, just move it maybe. And with that done, I can now hit this symmetrical tool here to mirror that over and start to shape this curve and the symmetrical copy at the same time. So now I've got this generated. Next I need to join these up to complete the cage, and I'm going to use just a standard tool here, and I'm going to start off by creating my curve like so, and I'll create another curve here, And then I'm going to use the manipulation tool for the point manipulation. And I'm going to bring the curves panel here so that I can see this option here where I can check snap to curve points. So this enables me to be a lot more accurate now, and I can take this point here, which clearly, let me just remove the axis temporarily so we've got less noise on the screen. So now I'm going to move this point here and snap it to one of those original lines that I created, and the same on the other side. So I'm almost complete. I just need to fill this area in here to complete my shape. So I'll snap this one over to here, this one, oops, missed it, this one over to there, and then I'll move this somewhere like snap to that view so I can get my something like that. And of course now I can select this one and hit my mirror to mirror that one over to the other side. So let's repeat that now just on this side. Get it close to where I need it to snap to. Q, point manipulation tool, snap, and snap to there as well. We can see this three-dimensional cage starting to take shape now. So the last one here are these two vertical curves that I will generate. So I will move over to my drawing curve tool here. So there we have our cage now complete for this shape that I'm generating. I'm getting a good sense of the shape and form that I'm trying to create just by these curves. Now if I'm to use the surface patch tool on the cage as it is, it won't quite work because we have another step to complete. So just for argument's sake, let's test this out. So I'll hit surface patch with all my curves selected, and you'll see that I don't get the result in the preview that I'm expecting. And the reason for this is that although we've snapped our guides to each point, they're not actually joined yet, and we have to do that. So let's deselect that and deselect our curves. And I'm going to use this tool here to link these points together so that 3DCoat knows how to use that surface patch tool. Again, I will start off and I will use my selection tool first to highlight the ones I want to link. And you can see that it selects 3 curves which join together at this single point. So this is bringing multiple points together into one single point. Deselect. Select the next one and repeat the process. You must deselect after joining in order to make a new selection. Okay, now that's completed. Let's reselect our curves again and hit the surface patch. And now you can see it understands that this is a complete cage. It will preview our geometry for us. This preview may highlight some issues in terms of the topology it's trying to patch. So what I'm going to do at this point is just accept this. Now you must make sure that when you do this you have not got any symmetry enabled because it will create overlapping geometry. I'm just going to hit apply to this and I'm going to hide those curves and I'll just increase the opacity of the mesh. What's happened here is that it's chosen topology to try to match as best it could those shapes that were generated with those curves. However, this may not be something that you like. for example, these polys which span between those two curves. And maybe what I want is something a little bit more like this, which is more even over the top, and I want to repeat that at the bottom here. I could go in here and delete these polys and reform that, but there are other ways that we can just change things around and tweak that cage in order to get the topology that we are after. So let's remove this topology that's been generated before by hitting this little icon here and bring back our curves. So again, with them selected, I'm going to re-enable the tool to bring back that preview. And what I will do now is I will use my point selection tool here, drag a marquee around these points here and start to move this to show how the algorithm is working to try to create polygons to fill and patch those areas. So I'll select these ones on the end here and move those. Maybe tweak these ones on the side. Let's assess that. So I've corrected those polys underneath now, like we saw before, and it's a much more even distribution of polygons that way. But one of the powerful aspects of the surface patch tool is the fact that I can very easily experiment with designs and topology. So if, for example, I'm happy with this preview now, I can simply go to apply mesh and I get something like this. Let's hide those curves and let's hide the grid, and you can see I've got a more even distribution of polygons on this shape. We can go in manually and tweak the topology as we've done in other projects in this tutorial series. Now, once my shape has been generated using the curves, I can still manipulate this mesh further by using a tool like the brush tool here, increasing my brush size, and I can come into here and I can start to change and modify and deform the shape that I've generated. The curves were used to generate a base shape for me, and there's no reason why I can't switch from curves to a normal polygon editing process in order to modify and create a new shape from that base. Another example here is if I use the select tool here with edges selected, and let's say, for example, I choose these edges here and the same on the other side because I've got my X symmetry on. I will go down to where it says sharp edges, so, and use that option, and you can see here that if I just reselect those just to show where those sharp edges are, a slightly blue color. So with those now marked as sharp, if I go down to the Catmull-Clark smoothing option down here, it will smooth out this low poly mesh and subdivide it at the same time. However, it will keep these marked edges as sharp. And as you can see, that gives me a totally different shape now, and increasing the resolution with that Catmull-Clark smoothing option. The power of the curves tool in this case was to give me the ability to modify a preview mesh in real time and generate a mesh accordingly to the shape of the cage that I generated. And then I can go in and use the other tools available to me to drop into more of a polygon, point by point or edge by edge editing mode to refine that shape even further. In the next video, we'll continue to create meshes from tools that utilize curves. See you next time.